don't get depression from thinking about shit that's coming up. You get anxiety, right? 33 crucial technology industry statistics. There's a lot going on in the technological side of things. You know, the U.S. tech industry market is worth around $1 trillion. You know these things, right? These are things we all know. All right. Of course, Americans set to spend $487 billion. We're gonna be getting into the making of tech. You know, this is not outside of our reach. Creating software, creating programs, creating algorithms. All of these things are doable. So we don't want anybody to think that it's outside of your reach, because it's not. Okay. Shelter, right? Like I was talking about earlier, green living, right? We're going to be focusing a lot on solar energy, green living, sustainability, earth homes, agri-hoods, and whatnot, tiny homes. You know, in Atlanta, I don't know how they're doing it out here. In Atlanta, our good brother Ben X, show of hands, how many people know Ben X? Right? Yeah, brother Ben X and the Hereafter Farms, they went and secured about 400 acres, like an hour and a half outside of Atlanta, on top of a mountain. We went on the damn GPS, stopped working. We went up there. It's up there. And, you know, they got land, but they got land. The land, it was so much land. I was like, yo, we was surveying it. I was like, turn around. It's enough. It's the land. It's too much. It was a lot of land. So, on these lands that we getting, you know, before we build it out and build these towns and whatnot, you know, we're going to have to put these tiny homes up. You know, these crate homes, you know, these earth ships. You know what I mean? These could be ordered on Alibaba. These could be built by prefab homes. Some of these could be built by hand. You know, some of our brothers and sisters who are affectionately known as crackheads, right? I don't even like using that term. But they talk about their engineering skills, how they were able to build things and whatnot. And I would love to have, to try to develop a program to try to salvage some of the skill sets of those brothers and sisters and whatnot who are great engineers, and begin to introduce them into these quote-unquote container homes, prefabs, tiny homes, you know what I mean? Even a homeless crisis, right? How about putting them in some tiny homes and, you know, introducing them into a certain type of business model, a labor model, which we're going to be introducing for them, right, to clean them up. And but we're going to utilize tiny homes in the beginning, right? But then, these are just some of the prices of them, but then we're going to move it up to something a little more upscale and whatnot. They start from 3,000 and up, as you can see. They start from 3,000 and up, 35,000 for some of them, right? There's a group that built Elon Musk's tiny home, and they're getting investments, right? People are putting in the tune of 74 million into this company and whatnot, right? So these are some of the housing trends, especially if you're in real estate, especially if you're into these house flips, especially if you want to build something that's going to be sustainable and will increase in price when this old market tanks and this bubble pops, because this is the new bubble that they're going to have to deal with, right? You will want to be ahead of the curve and utilize this data. Because that's all this is. When you take the data and you crunch it and you apply it towards something, you're going to watch and see what happens, because it's time sensitive. A year from now, this might not even be the move, because they might already start being on it. Once you hear the media talk about it, it's over. It's over. But that don't mean that they're not putting out information. But once they talking heads start dealing with it, it's already in the quote-unquote, if anybody deals with stocks or day trading, you see how the market works. You see how it works. Buy the rumor, sell the news and all that. You see how that shit is intricately tied into news programs, news articles, and all of that. Once it's in the public, it's all right, like I said, private and public, right? So all of the Wall Street transactions before they even let us in, all private. You get the news in the public, it's too late, right? Heating and power, solar, right? Net zero homes, right? Like they want net zero cars and whatnot, more efficiency, eco-friendly, right? Energy efficiency and cooling, right? So you come up with these buildings that you could come up with efficiency in the cooling systems and whatnot. You're going to hit a lick. There's trillions of dollars that they put to the side for the same people that destroyed this shit. Exxon, the oil companies, petroleum, those are the same people that pivoted into sustainable. That's why they're giving you that bullcrap about climate change. It's all a farce to create new budgets. It's all about budget creating. But they've already put trillions of dollars, so the shit that they destroyed, it will never really be, you can't hold it against them because they're going to take the next 50 years into cleaning it up.
And taxes.
Huh?
And taxes.
And taxes, right. So biophilic designs, this is something that I will highly suggest anybody in real estate, study this. This is what they're doing out there in Arizona and other places in the West. There's Airbnbs that you go on Airbnb, you try to get a spot that's built like this, you paying double the tax.
Yeah, right.
Because this come at a premium, right? What a biophilic home is, it's a home that is designed with large openings that allow homeowners to look out onto things in their garden, like a waterfall or a fountain, that provide important auditory stimuli, right? So what they're working off of is the premise that DNA responds to environment, right? So if you're looking out your window and you see brick walls, or if you're looking out your window and you see garbage, or if you're looking out your window and you see just pure destruction, your DNA begins to respond to that environment. However, if you can look out your window and you see a waterfall, right, or you see nature, or there's a beachfront, you're in a beachfront crib, right? That's why they're so expensive, because beachfront properties, the ionosphere is charged up, first and foremost, just by being, like, if you ever stood near a waterfall, or if you ever stand on the beach when the waves is crashing, you start to feel euphoric and whatnot. That's because the ionosphere is charged up with negative ions. And when it's negative ions, in that sense, it's positive, right? So in a negative ionosphere, it's been said that you can manifest even faster in a negative ionosphere. When the ions are negative, is where the voltage is higher, and you're able to break things into creation. The body feels good, your body is charged up, versus you're in places where it's taking away from you. Like if you got in a pool versus getting in the water and the beach, you're going to come out feeling differently. Because the pool got the chlorine that strips away your electric charge. Right? So this is going to have, right, and in places where they have, instead of being in a dome and whatnot, where we have these corners that are squared and whatnot, that robs the room of the negative ions. They gather in the corners. So you have these new homes that are being built like domes and whatnot, right? High ceilings and whatnot. They're feng shui in the whole thing. So the feng shui is in the quote unquote design, right? So they achieve it through a visual, auditory, and material connection to nature by using natural materials like wood, stone, water, and most importantly, plants, right? And I know every woman in this building, that's what y'all want to do. That's where y'all want to live, and somewhere that's going to feed your senses in that way, right? So this is just a briefing of the tier 2, which will be the private, right? Fraternal. What we are proposing and what we're teaching the family about and what we're going to be building on is a 501c8. How many familiar with that with a show of hands? Okay. 501c8 organizations are fraternal beneficiary societies comprising members, listen to this, who share common principles, callings, or a purpose that may go beyond social activities. These organizations must support the common good and provide benefits to their members. By a show of hands, how many people think that sounds like something you want to be a part of? I'm going to go further. I didn't see any hand. They want to keep us away from things like this, so what do? They give you a fear and a demonization of what? Of quote-unquote fraternal orders, right, and lodges. They keep you away from that. 501c8 organizations have existed for longer than most people may expect. Fraternal organizations can be found in the United States as far back as the 19th century. Many of these organizations were founded by immigrants and other underdeserved populations. For many of these individuals, these organizations were the only way they could afford medical care. The IRS first recognized these groups as nonprofits with the Tariff Act in 1909. Today, the IRS recognizes 501c8 organizations as associations that operate under a large system that supports members with what? Life, sick, accidental insurance, and other benefits. 501c8 organizations cannot pay directly for their members' life, sick, accidents, insurance, or other benefits. They partner with insurance companies to offer insurance services instead. These are some examples of them. I'm going to wrap it up in 4 minutes. Right. Knights of Columbus. It started as an organization of Catholic men in 1882. Members' Catholic faith is what brings them together and form the organization's primary principles: charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. The Elks. They were started in 1868 as the Jolly Corks. It was initially a collective of actors and theater professionals. The Elks exist under the principle of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. Royal Neighbors of America. It started out as a membership organization in 1895 by 9 women whose aim has been to support other women and protect their members with life insurance and inheritance. Alright, and with that, we're going to take a break. This is not over, y'all. We want y'all to be able to get something to eat because the kitchen will be closing and whatnot. The kitchen will be closing, so let's get some food in our stomachs. This is not over. Please join me right after the break, after 15 minutes. Please support all of the vendors in the building. You did? All of the vendors in the building. I have some wares over here, and I'm also offering some consultation services for the family this whole week. If y'all are interested, come pull up on me. Come and sign up for that.
Building, you understand me? They came to my city. You know, Lord Armstrong gonna be there. Never square. You understand me? There should be much more people, many more here, but you know what I'm saying? We coming back together slowly but surely. That's all that matters, man. You understand me? Put your puzzle piece in. Big Armstrong.